The Philippine Navy's acquisition of the Acero-class patrol gunboats represents a clear, deliberate pivot toward a distributed, sea-denial posture, tailored to an archipelagic state, with limited resources but expansive maritime claims. The vessels, derived from Israel's Shaldag Mark V design, are small, fast, and missile-capable, optimized for littoral interdiction and rapid strikes. Their arrival and continued upgrades are changing Manila's options for fending off low to medium-intensity incursions in the West Philippine Sea and other contested waters. Technically, the Acero boats trade endurance and armor for speed and precision. At roughly 32 to 33 meters in length and capable of speeds in excess of 40 knots, these platforms are armed with a 30mm remote weapon station and are fitted to carry Spike NLOS anti-ship missiles on a proportion of the class, while other hulls are fitted for but not with the missile launchers pending future fits. That modularity is a conscious design choice. It allows Manila to scale lethal capability according to threat, budget, and logistics capacity. The live-fire demonstrations of Spike NLOS from Acero platforms and subsequent coordinated missile drills with air assets underscore that this is not merely parade fitting. These boats are being integrated into operational concepts. Strategically, Acero-class boats reflect a doctrine of distributed lethality adapted to an island state. Rather than concentrating scarce high-end assets on a handful of capital ships, Manila is increasing the density of lethal nodes across its near seas. In practical terms, a dispersed constellation of missile-armed fast attack craft complicates an adversary's targeting calculus. To achieve freedom of maneuver near a contested shoal or within an EEZ, an opponent must now consider the risk of rapid, precision strikes from numerous vectors, supported by shore sensors and ISR. This cost imposition can create operational friction that supports deterrence by denial rather than by symmetrical escalation. However, the operational utility of Acero depends on three interlocking systems: sensors, command and control, and logistics. The Navy's work to upgrade BRP Nestor Acero's BattleNet and the publicized sea trials validating the upgraded networking suite show recognition that lethality without connectivity is brittle. A missile boat that cannot see reliable targeting data or coordinate with aerial and shore assets is a vulnerable, short-range asset rather than a force multiplier. Manila's investment in C4I integration is therefore the decisive variable that will determine whether Acero units are nuisance craft or true nodes of denial. There are, nevertheless, structural limits and strategic risks that Manila must manage. First, endurance and sustainment. Fast boats demand high operational tempo and specialized maintenance. Engines, high-strain gearboxes, missile handling equipment. Yet the Philippine fleet's logistics base and funding cadence are constrained. Rapid expansion of hull numbers without proportional investment in forward maintenance hubs, spare parts inventory and missile reload capacity will undermine operational availability and create a fleet of show vessels rather than a resilient force. Second, survivability. Acero's small size makes it effective in hit-and-run scenarios, but highly vulnerable to air attack and long-range naval fires. In a confrontation that escalates beyond localized interdiction, Acero units must be supported by layered air defense and heavier surface combatants to avoid catastrophic losses. These are not technicalities. They are the thin lines between deterrence and provocation. A prudent Philippine concept of employment would therefore emphasize networked, combined arms operations rather than solo boat sorties. In practice, that means pairing Acero units with shore-based sensors and strike systems, maritime patrol aircraft and helicopters for targeting and battle damage assessment, and a presence of OPVs and frigates to hold sea control where necessary. Exercises that have already integrated Acero units with AW-159 helicopters and multi-domain firing scenarios demonstrate a conceptual move towards such combined employment. If Manila consolidates these practices, while also hardening command links and pre-positioning spares at forward bases. The Acero program could materially increase the cost of coercive maneuvers against Philippine maritime claims. Politically and regionally, the optics of equipping small combatants with anti-ship missiles must be managed with strategic clarity. These boats are defensive by doctrine, but their deployment can be read differently by rival claimants. Manila must therefore accompany capability enhancements with transparent signaling, clear rules of engagement, predictable patrol patterns, and diplomatic engagement, to reduce misperception and the risk of inadvertent escalation. Simultaneously, the Philippines should leverage cooperative frameworks with partners for training, logistics, and ISR sharing that raise the cost of any offensive action against Philippine assets while keeping deterrence within controlled, accountable bounds. Looking forward, the tactical advantage of Acero hinges on scale, sustainment, and integration. Manila appears to be pursuing scale, presenting plans for further procurement, while trialing domestic assembly at Cavité's Naval Shipbuilding Center, which enhances sovereign maintenance capacity and industrial resilience. If local production matures, the Philippines will not only reduce lead times and life cycle costs, but also deepen the domestic technical base necessary for sustained operations. That industrial trajectory is a strategic force multiplier in itself. A nation that can produce and service its own littoral strike craft is less vulnerable to supply chain shocks and more flexible in force posture. In the broader trajectory of Philippines Navy 2030, the Acero-class should be viewed not as an end state, but as a stepping stone toward layered maritime defense. By pairing these fast missile boats with future offshore patrol vessels, additional frigates, and possibly submarines, Manila can weave a multi-tier deterrent web. International partnerships, from Israel's technology transfer to U.S. training and Japanese security cooperation, will be vital in sustaining momentum. Ultimately, Acero's real legacy may lie in proving that small, affordable platforms, if networked wisely, can reshape the balance of deterrence in contested seas. In sum, the Acero-class program is a pragmatic, economically mindful adaptation to Manila's operational realities: geography, budget limits, and an asymmetric maritime environment. Its value will not be measured in individual platform counts alone, but in how these boats are networked into a wider, resilient posture, one that binds ISR, logistics, and higher-end sea control assets into an integrated denial strategy. Properly executed, Acero can be a credible, scalable deterrent in the Philippines' near seas. Poorly sustained and poorly integrated, it risks becoming an emblem of ambition without endurance. The line between those outcomes is policy, funding, and disciplined operational design. Choices Manila must make now if it is to convert small boats into a lasting strategic advantage.